Welcome back to day 61. Today, we're diving into a dramatic and intense story from Numbers chapters 16 and 17. It's about Korah's rebellion against Moses and Aaron's leadership. Have you ever thought about why this incident is so significant?
Definitely. It's not just a power struggle. It's about questioning divine authority itself. Korah and his followers challenge Moses and Aaron, saying everyone is holy and no one should be exalted above the rest.
Right? And that idea of everyone is holy sounds noble, but it ignores the specific roles God assigned. Korah, a Levite, along with Dathan, Abiram, and On, who were Reubenites, basically accused Moses and Aaron of taking too much authority.
What strikes me is how Moses responds. Instead of reacting with anger immediately, he falls on his face, showing humility and seeking God's guidance. Then he proposes a test, each man to bring incense before the Lord the next day.
That's a fascinating point. The censers become a symbol of who God has chosen. The story shows that leadership and holiness are not just about popularity or self-assertion, but about God's selection.
And the consequences are severe. The earth opens up and swallows Korah, Dathan, and Abiram with their families. Plus, fire consumes the 250 men who offered unauthorized incense. It's a vivid demonstration of divine judgment.
It also highlights the dangers of rebellion against God's appointed leaders, but I'm curious, how do you interpret the fact that the censers used by the rebels were later made into a covering for the altar?
That's a great question. It's like a reminder. These objects were used in sin, yet they're transformed into something holy, a memorial to warn future generations not to repeat such rebellion.
Exactly. It's a tangible lesson about respect for sacred roles and boundaries. Moving on to chapter 17, God confirms Aaron's priesthood by making his rod bud and produce almonds. What do you think this miracle signifies?
It's a clear, undeniable sign of divine approval. While Korah and others tried to claim priestly authority, only Aaron's rod blooms. It's almost like a botanical seal of approval from God.
And the rods are kept as a token against rebellion, which shows that complaining and challenging God's order isn't just discouraged, it has real consequences.
What's striking is the response from the Israelites afterward. They're terrified, asking if everyone will perish when approaching the tabernacle. It shows how quickly fear sets in when God's holiness is made so visible.
That fear is understandable, but it also raises the question about how to balance reverence and access to God. How do people maintain a connection without being overwhelmed by God's holiness?
I think that ties into the role of mediators like Moses and Aaron. They intercede, make atonement, and stand between the living and the dead. It's a reminder that while God is holy and just, mercy and mediation are part of the relationship.
Good point. The story isn't just about judgment, it's about establishing a system for holiness that includes grace. It's almost like setting up guardrails for the community to follow safely.
And it challenges us today too. How do we handle authority and leadership in our own communities? When is it healthy to question, and when does it cross into rebellion?
That's a tough balance. Healthy questioning can lead to growth, but Korah's case shows the danger of pride and envy disguised as justice.
Plus, their complaint that Moses hadn't brought them into the promised land yet seems like misplaced blame. It's like complaining to the pilot mid-flight about the destination when you haven't even landed.
Laughs. Exactly. Sometimes impatience and frustration cloud the bigger picture. Korah and his followers missed the point that God was guiding the journey.
Have you noticed how Moses reacts emotionally in this story? At one point, he's very angry and prays to God not to accept their offerings. It shows that even great leaders can feel frustration.
And that makes the story relatable. Leadership isn't easy, especially when faced with rebellion. It reminds me that humility and reliance on God are essential for leaders.
Also, the fact that Aaron runs into the assembly with incense to stop the plague is quite dramatic. It's like a firefighter rushing into a burning building to save lives.
That image fits perfectly. Aaron's act of atonement stops the destruction, showing that leadership involves sacrifice and courage.
In the end, the story leaves us with a reminder about respect for God's order and the dangers of rebellion motivated by pride.
Absolutely. And it also challenges listeners to reflect on their own attitudes toward authority and holiness. Are we humble and respectful, or do we sometimes act like Korah?
It's a timeless lesson. Maybe the question to leave our listeners with is, how do we discern when to submit, when to question, and when to lead with humility ourselves?
That's a powerful question. The story from Numbers invites us to think deeply about leadership, community, and our relationship with the divine.
Well said. Hopefully, this discussion helps people see the story not just as ancient history, but as a living lesson for today.
Thanks for this great conversation. Looking forward to unpacking more stories next time.
Me too. Until then, let's think about how we can apply these lessons in our own lives. God bless.